kids that were making robots for fun in their spare time in my engineering class, and I was very much struggling, just to pass. And I realized at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be the smartest guy here, but I can talk the language of the engineers well enough that I can translate it to the users and the buyers of how this stuff actually works and what it does.
Who's the first one in the room? Who makes it in here? The Solar Goat in the room. We got Solar Surge. What is up, guys?
What's
On
up?
the roof? That's got to be the best entrance we've ever had to one of these.
I don't
He
work
always
in an
does it.
office. I don't have an office.
Yeah,
I
man.
work.
This is his office. Have you guys ever met Josh King before?
I have not.
Well, he's the virtual solar guru in the space. Well, when we say virtual phone sales, but just to be specific, he is the phone sales guru for sure. Joe, have you met Josh before?
No, Josh, nice to be on with you. Thanks for the invite.
Good to meet you, man. I've been taking a look at your content. Slick stuff, my friend. Very good stuff. Just even the presentation of it all. I mean, two very different types of people on this call, but Goat rocking up on the roof with the behind him is legendary, man. That's so good.
Bro, I have been so excited about doing this podcast for like weeks. We tried to schedule before SolarCon, didn't work out. And I was like, first thing after SolarCon, I was like, I need to get the Solar Go and Solar Surge on the podcast. And I know you guys, I don't know if you guys met each other yet. I know the Solar Ghost, the TikTok King, and the Solar Surge is the YouTube King. Have you guys ever interacted with each other? I know you guys are both at SolarCon.
Oh yeah, I mean, Brandon, we shared the stage together for the social media discussion there at SolarCon. Is really great, and so Brandon, how's the new baby of yours?
Oh, doing fantastic! It's awesome. I appreciate you asking. Growing the family, and been busy, a little tired. Might see the bags under my eyes. So,
bro, how was the baby?
Do they have under their belts? I would assume you're putting them on the tools within the first month or two.
Yeah, like these panels aren't going to get themselves on the roof, so gotta do something.
Where are you guys at right now? Where are you at, Brandon?
I'm pretty close to you. I'm in Riverton.
All right, it's a few minutes from me. How about you, Joe?
Yeah, so
look at that
I'm
view.
Here from sunny Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Is that where you're stationed at, Joe?
Yep. I've been here for about a year. I spent a lot of time in Virginia, so you may have heard me talk about Virginia a lot in my content. But moved the family here to Myrtle Beach last year, and that's where we're broadcasting from. I'm actually in the brand new Solar Surge studio. We're still getting this facility built out, but this is the podcasting station. So helping me to break things in here. So thanks for that.
I saw a post on that, Joe. That looks slick. It looks like you got some good lighting. You got the background. You got everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, man, we're ready to roll here. We still got to get a few more sound absorbing devices installed around here, but we're ready to go. We're going to be cranking out a lot of more content this year, and we're going to be collaborating with other creators, which I think is the really exciting part for me. Is opening up the Solar Surge platform, to folks like yourself, Joshua, Joe, Brandon, other folks that have something to say, something to contribute to the conversation. That's a lot of why we decided to invest in the studio and kind of get a dedicated space for us to put out some better quality content.
Well, speaking of content, the reason why I was so excited to have you guys on here, because you guys have some of the best content out there, getting the most views, getting the biggest audiences. So I want everybody watching know right now, the Solar Goat is huge on TikTok. And if you're on TikTok and you go just type in solar, he comes up and his views are insane. That's how I actually found out about it. I was like, oh, who's this guy, the Solar Goat? Just racking up the views. And I was like, I need to get in touch with the guy. I couldn't get in touch with him. One day I was like, you know what? Me buy him a coffee, send him a coffee, and next thing I got a phone call, and I got in touch with the Solar Goat, and I've just been a big fan of what he's doing and in this space. So I'm really excited to have you on, man. Appreciate you.
And then
Then Joe Ordia, when you go on YouTube and just search the word solar, you will see Solar Surge come up. You'll see Joe's face come up. And it was really interesting to find out about Joe is that I think about 10 years ago, he was just a guy getting solar himself, DIY, putting solar panels on his own house. I believe you're an engineer, and then just got into this space, and then he started using YouTube, and he just started going viral, and it just went from there, right, Joe?
Yeah, Joe, I mean, that's the amazing thing with social media. And I wish more people understood the opportunity. I mean, it's like, look, I'm just a normal guy that was into solar panels. I started tinkering around with it. I started learning it. I, built a contracting business to do it. And then I just started talking about it on YouTube, and enough people started watching and listening. And it's really been wonderful to be able to share my story with the solar community at large. But, I think that's just, that's the power of social media is anybody that has some experience or a story to tell or some value to provide to the world can get it out there for free. And if people want to listen or people want to follow, they can follow, and I thank God I've been able to build a pretty significant following and actually put a business together around that social media presence.
I think you hit the head right on the nail. It's about talking about it. Right? Like how you're sharing the content, how people getting it. And Brandon, your like videos are like, similar to each other, but different. And you have this style of the way you talk to your audience and the way they watch your videos. Just since, Joe brought it up, can you talk it? How do you communicate with your audience? What's different about what you're doing that everybody else is?
You've seen, or you've heard that saying, it's like a picture's worth 1,000 words or something like that. And I realized that with just a quick video, you could show something and you could say so much in that video. And what I love about it is someone who's new to solar might recognize a few different things. Somebody who is in this part or this part can look at that same video and everyone's taking different things from it. And there's so much depth within the solar industry. And so I'm going to say I'm a pretend electrician and I'm more of an artist. And I've really been able to talk through just making clips rather than, talking about solar.
I love that. And Joe, and it's like you have a way of words, right? You speak very clearly, articulately. You get into the weeds, you get into the technical of the products. How do you kind of like make sure you get your communication to the audience?
Yeah, Joe, so that's a great question. I mean, I guess when I started, I didn't know exactly what to talk about. So I would just kind of think back at like frequently asked questions that homeowners would ask me if maybe I was meeting with them in their home. And they were asking me about this solar system. Why did you choose this panel? Why did you choose this battery or this inverter? And I would just sort of take my frequently asked questions and turn them into video answers. That's kind of where I started. And that also to me, I think helped take a lot of the pressure or a lot of the anxiety away from the whole content creation process, because I just imagine that like on the other side of that camera lens is a homeowner that is interested in the information that I'm presenting, and there's somebody out there that's asking this specific question that I'm about to answer. And to me, that kind of takes all the stage fright or whatever, keeps a lot of folks from wanting to present. It just takes that off the table, because I figure, look, whoever's on the other side of that camera wants to watch this. And if they don't want to watch it, they're just going to click off onto something else. So who cares? So just go ahead and talk to the camera just like you're talking to a homeowner. And that's something that most solar pros have done hundreds and hundreds of times in the home. And so that's kind of the approach I took to content creation. And I think for me, I'm more of like a technical guy, I'm into like the specs and everything. And so a lot of my content has more of that like technical feel. I mean, I know some people find that it's just too boring. I'm not really an entertaining guy. I'm more like, hey, here's the numbers, here's the facts, here's what it can do. But that's my style. That was my style when I was selling solar in the home. And so that's just kind of how I've taken my approach to YouTube is, I'm just teaching a homeowner who's on the other side of that camera what they need to know or what they might want to know about how solar can help them.
I love that, Josh. I'm not going to take all the questions, but I make sure I hear with Solar Goat, your audience, like Joe's talking about speaking to homeowners, right? And I'm sure he's talking to solar pros now too, but I'm sure his major audience is homeowners. but I know you don't. Like your audience is more general. Who are you talking to? The homeowners, solar pros, companies?
I would like to speak to the industry. I think my audience might be mostly people who install solar panels or work in the solar industry, or maybe even manufacturers. Because I really do like the product. Like I see a solar panel system up on a house like the one behind me, and I see it like it's a sports car driving down the road. I just absolutely love the technology behind solar panel systems. And so I would think I'd be the same as like a car enthusiast talking about this new version that just came out for, and solar related aspect of that.
Go ahead, Josh. I don't want to hug up I got a million more.
I love it. I love it. I got so much. One thing, Joe, because we've advertised on social media platforms, and then especially over the past 2 years, we've really started putting content on social media platforms. So we use this term influencer, and I truly don't think that there's enough true solar influencers. A lot of people say that, but they don't understand the content game. They don't understand how to put quality out, especially when it comes to production value. When I started doing, virtual studios for our webinars, like it was mind blowing to people. But for me, I think everyone should be able to do this, right? Have high production quality. One thing I noticed, and if there's a very specific thing I noticed when I took a look at your channel about 3 months ago. Did you start doing something different, Joe, 3 months ago on your channel?
Yeah. So this year we decided to really go all in on content and on social media. So that means that we actually hired an editor. We have a social media team now. It's not just me. But for the first 2 years, I was basically a solo creator. I would do the videos, I would shoot the videos, I would edit in iMovie, I would do the thumbnails in Canva, and I realized that we got to the point now that it made sense to do this at a more professional level. And so there's a team of 4 of us now. I'm still the guy that's usually in front of the camera, although a lot of times now I'm interviewing some other industry person. But then we have 3 other guys, Nate, Hunter, and MJ, who are our editing and our production team. And so you probably noticed that the thumbnails have a different design treatment now. The editing is done a little bit differently. We have a hook segment at the beginning of the videos now to kind of give the audience a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a taste of what the content is to come in the long form video. So little things like that. I mean, we're constantly improving. That's one of the things too about content creation, social media. We're always learning from each other. We're always looking at ways to improve. Short form is still a relatively new medium. That's something that we also just started in the past 2-3 months, is doing short form videos. And so yeah, I mean, I'm a student of the space. I'm having a great time doing it. I'm definitely enjoying the process, and really grateful that I can get some good information and answer questions for people that are out there looking for good information about solar.
I very, very clearly see that change. It's not as though your thumbnails or content before was bad. There is a very distinct change. As soon as 3 months, it's like all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's game time, right? And then things change. Obviously, the thumbnails and
Did I lose you guys?
That's cool. Yeah, I want to second that, Josh, because like what Joe you were saying earlier is that there's like no barrier of entry. Like everyone's got a cell phone. You can just film in your own style with your personality and present it the way you want to present it. But then you're talking about making improvements and changes along the way where you can keep getting better and better. I like that. Anybody can start, but you can clearly, like Joe's doing, keep leveling up and just raise the bar for, the level of quality content out there.
Well, how about you, Brandon? Like, it must be so hard. I know it's great to get, go viral, but it must be hard to go viral and then try to match that and try to do better and try to be different and add more. Like, what are the things that you're doing that you're trying to like up yourself every time?
Yeah, I think social media can be a little bit rough sometimes because there are such ups and downs and there's always changes with different algorithms or formats and stuff. And I think you have to be really invested in the content that you're creating and really try to stay on the front end of that, watching what new trends are coming or what new updates happen. But I've found like a genuine love for content creation. So I think that's the biggest key is it's not a chore. It's like something I enjoy. I look forward. I'm like, hey, what cool thing is going to happen today that I could make a quick clip about and then post. And I'm excited to do that.
And Brandon,
you also go ahead.
The TikTok form, right? Content on YouTube versus content on TikTok are very, very different. You have cracked the code when it comes to TikTok. I can tell that you scroll TikTok a lot, and you know the game, and you know what's
You have to, right, Brandon?
I'm guilty. Yeah, and the thing about it too is it's pretty technical. There's a lot of different levels that you can start looking at to how these platforms work, how people use them, and there's a lot of depth to it. So I love TikTok because it's something where you can just post something and you could potentially win the lottery and get a lot of views on. But at the same time, it's also very unforgiving because it's going to tell you when your content's complete garbage.
Is it though? Is it always garbage though? It's not the algorithm. Come on, we got to blame the algorithm sometimes here. Come on, right?
Yeah, that's true. I like to make myself feel better sometimes by saying that.
That's what I'm doing
on TikTok, because I'm looking at your stuff. I'm watching the video right now. You have 1.5 million views.
It's insane, bro.
Like who is this opens my eyes to how big either the industry is or how many homeowners maybe globally want to get involved in this. You know what this really reminds me of? So I grew up in the Australian industry. Do you know the Facebook group Crap Solar?
No, I haven't. That sounds like one I need to jump on.
It is.
You might.
So Crap Solar is built by these Australian boys who built something called solar cutters. They're installers. They've been in the game for like 15 years. Very, very smart guys. And their whole thing was, how do we eliminate low quality installs from the industry? So they built this Facebook group, Crap Solar, and it's pretty much, it could be a bit negative at times, but it's pretty much just people throwing up pictures, especially in Australia, because it's such a mature market, of just the worst installs out there as they're driving by, and they throw a picture up, and people will be like, or people will be proud of an install, and they'll throw it up and be like, guys, I think this is my best install yet, and they'll just get destroyed in the comments. Oh, you're getting over here. No, your conduit's messed up over here. But yeah, you definitely need to jump on them. And to be honest, if you wanna engage with other creators, you should get involved with the Crap Solar Boys, because I think you guys would be very, very aligned. Technical, really, really care about the industry, especially the technical and install side of things, and big followings. But it is
the only thing though. The only thing, Josh, is that Brandon is very positive. He's not a guy he's trashing anybody. He's talking bad about other installs. He's just a very uplifting, positive person. Am I right? Based on I don't see Brandon talking smack about some other installs, or maybe you are.
Well, I think I appreciate that perspective because I'm a positive person in general, but I'm a little jaded because I see everyone's dirty laundry. So what I do for my day-to-day business is I get the worst of the worst service calls where it's house fires, roof leaks, tons of damage, like terrible installs. And that's the customers that I'm approaching and helping. And so when I see a solar company, I know, you were getting sued over this job I was just on and stuff. So I see a lot of the bad and negative. So I absolutely love solar. I love the technology. I'm fascinated with it. It's the coolest thing out there. And so it's good to hear that I'm maintaining that positive aspect, although I'm, digging through the trash all day. So
go ahead, Josh, do you want to start the segment real quick?
Yeah, let's do it, because we can keep going.
Yeah.
We do have a segment, so we're going to take a little break here because I got a ton more to talk about. Especially
so much to talk about, guys. Be ready.
Cool.
But we do a little segment to let the audience know, because to be honest, I didn't know about you guys for a while until Joe introduced me, and then I was just blown away that you guys even existed. It's amazing how you segmented and part of the industry. So I would hazard a guess that there's also a few people watching here that might not know who you guys are. We've gone over your channels and stuff, but now I want to do a little segment about going into a bit more about you guys personally and your solar specific stuff and your goals. and then we'll jump back into the fun conversations. All right, how does that sound?
So, good.
Sounds good.
We call it 5 words or less. And we got five questions. You got 5 words to answer each question. We're going to start off simple and let the audience know a bit about you. So we'll start with Solar Goat Brandon. First question, 5 words or less, no more. Some people try to cheat. Describe your personality, which I think you were almost getting into before we jumped into this.
Exactly.
Oh, for my personality, 5 words or less.
Mm-hmm.
Really quietly competitive.
Ooh, okay.
Cool. One. Joe, take it away. Describe your personality.
5 words or less, I would probably say just the facts, ma'am.
I like it.
Second one, going to the GOAT. If you weren't doing solar, what would you be doing?
Ooh. Electric vehicles.
Makes sense.
Joe, if you weren't doing solar, what would you be doing? 5 words or less.
So for me, I would say media. If I wasn't doing social media for solar, I would be doing media or social media in some other way or some other space. And I probably still will be in addition to solar, for sure.
Nice.
Brandon, who's your biggest solar/life influence?
Oh, it's got to be Elon Musk. And that goes back way to the days when it was Lyndon and Peter Rive and starting Solar City and all that. So the early Elon Musk is what definitely influencer for me.
That's what made me start working at Solar City myself.
Joe, your biggest solar life influence?
That's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that before. I do respect Elon also. I think the biggest thing is that he's able to think about this at a global scale. You know, so much of our time we're focusing on specific deals, specific markets, you know, specific milestones for the year, whereas he's thinking, how do we use this technology to change the world across long periods of time, across political borders. So I would say, yeah, I would agree. I think Elon is he's the pace setter right now in the space.
Love it. Solar Goat, why are you in solar? 5 words or less.
Oh man, 5 words or less. I got to be careful about this.
I appreciate Solar Goat's taking it seriously, like he's counting his words, and Joe's like, he's not even counting. He's like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
It's too difficult for me. Guy on roof asked for a job. Were we close?
6. Well,
Close enough.
Close enough. Cool.
Very similar to my story. Guy in office asked for a job. Joe, 5 words or less. Why are you in solar?
Okay, 5 words or less. I would say, I want to be able. Well, I'm gonna beat my limit again here. Yep.
This is tough.
Yep, and Joe's counting too. I would say be self-sufficient. You know, it really is that simple. It's be self-sufficient.
There you go.
And then we'll wrap this off with maybe an easy question, maybe a tough one. Brandon, what is your ultimate solar career goal?
You're ready the Solar Goat. So what's the next one?
I would love to. Oh man, I would love to just continue where I'm going. As far as being like the most viewed influencer in the solar space.
I love that.
I want to take a very small side tangent because it's very specific to this question. Like, is your goal is specifically to be the guy that fixes up people's problems and for the people build trust with? Is that a thing, or is that what you're trying to connect with the homeowner to? Because when I look at you on the roof and I see your content, if I had a messed up install and I saw your content, I know beyond a shadow of a fact that if I messaged you and said, "Hey, can you help me out?" you would rock up. know exactly what's wrong, no BS, and do exactly what would be required. Like, you give off those vibes very,
I
maybe naturally,
I
maybe.
I like that. I feel like there's very specific issues to the solar industry that are absolutely catastrophic, and they're things that I'm starting to see small pictures of, but I can kind of see what the 50-year window looks like. And I feel like if I continue to grow in this space, I would be able to maybe help solve those problems before they happen. So I appreciate that feedback, Josh, because that is something that I'm going for with my content in order to keep this industry alive.
Love it. What about yourself,
Hell
Joe?
yeah.
Ultimate solar career goal. 5 words.
Yeah, I would say very simply to grow Solar Surge to become the most dominant brand, the most dominant influence in the residential solar plus storage space.
Can you do me a favor? Say that one more time. It cut out a little bit.
Did I lose you guys again?
Austin.
And again.
We'll get back to that one. We'll get back to that one.
I really wanted to hear that answer too.
Yeah, me too.
Well,
Since-
so building off of that, I'll set us up for the rest here. So that was 5 words or less. I love those answers. Building off of that, Brandon, who do you feel? So Joe already asked this, but I want to hunker down on this because I'm so interested. Who do you think is watching your videos more? There's 3 segments really of the industry that I see: front end sales guys, back end installation, or customers with solar, without solar. Who do you feel interacting with your You maybe see the comments, right? Who do you think the segment is?
Yeah, as far as like interactions, like commenting, messaging me, calling me, I think it's people in the industry, people who are touching solar panels, selling them, making new products for them, very industry specific. I think viewership might be outside of that and might be more like homeowners that might see my videos where it comes up because it's related to projects they have on their home or something with the algorithm. But yeah, who engages with my content, I think, is industry workers.
the reason why they're engaging is because they want a brand deal with you, bro. Homeowners don't want no brand deal with you, bro.
Yeah. Hey, at least I'll give him a free hat or something. That's good.
I'll get one of those, bro. That's a dope ass hat.
Oh, thank you. I'll come drop one off to you.
No, I want to buy one. How do I buy one?
My website. I'm gonna start selling these. I wanted to make.
What's the
some cool
website?
ones.
I'm literally trying to get you to promote your website, bro.
Oh, so I got a website. It's www.solar-goat, not a slash.com. And it's an e-commerce site because my long-term goals was to be able to sell different helpful products to the industry, whether you're a homeowner, end user, or installer. And so my first helpful product is a hat that keeps, the sun out of your eyes. It looks cool, has Solar Goat on it. So
Makes sense to me, bro.
So let's talk about that, because that is a bit of a touchy subject when it comes to content creators, especially the people that all of a sudden have an audience. Because often we will find that if you see an influencer, right, there's a negative connotation with that, and if they ever start trying to sell something or monetize it, at least for me, maybe I'm just like, because I come from solar, not influencer. I've moved into that realm, right, over 10 years in the industry. So for me, I feel it's like I'm very cautious about if I have a product or a service that I'm putting out to my audience, that it has to be good, right? Because I'm sick and tired of influencers trying to just screw this. So what are your plans for that? Because someone with an audience like you can add a ton of value to people, and you should be able to monetize that because it's valuable. So what have you started thinking about? What are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I like that. I think what I have is a dedication to genuine content. And as long as I am continuing to put out the highest quality, most sincere, creative content that's good, there can be different products and avenues to make money as long as it doesn't disrupt what the core of it is. And so I get what you're saying. Like some people I watch and I'm like, is every video an ad? Like, are they making money off of everything? And like one thing I do is I promote like because I like the tech, so I like the product. So there's a lot of things and material things in my videos. So I don't get like commission and make money off of like 99.999% of the stuff I do because I'm just going to the stuff that I genuinely like. And then, if there is some way to, monetize that, then that's an added benefit.
Yeah. The thing that I always keep in mind is like there's two types of responses to people finding how much money influencers make, right? You always hear of an influencer, you saw his videos, but then all of a sudden you realize how much he makes. There's two types of responses I find. One type is, oh my God, he makes that much money. And the second type of response is, yeah, he deserves that. Right. And so it's always in the back of my mind, right? It's like, how do I continue to add value? And Joe was the first solar influencer that I knew. He was posting webinars every single week, not asking for a penny. And then ever since I started him doing that, we started doing that as well. And then that's, we have similar mindsets, for example, with the podcast. Let's just get value out there. That's always my goal. Right. And again, I have a difficulty monetizing. It's like, ooh, influencer. But at the end of the day, if you're adding true value, I think aiming for that second type of response, is goal there.
Can we ask the same question? Go ahead, Brandon. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think part of it too is a lot of people get on social media to flex, and so it's almost like they're trying to flex all the cool things that they have and things they do and stuff. And I try to be very vague and modest about like my personal life and things outside of just solar content and what I enjoy, so it doesn't come off like that, so.
Did you want to go back to Joe? He's back. Can we get the 5 words or less? If you want to get back to that again?
Oh yeah, we've got one more question for Joe. Wrap that segment up before we move on here. Joe, the final one that we didn't catch there was your ultimate solar career goal. I think I got a few of the words, maybe 2 or 3 out of the 5.
Yeah, sorry guys. Obviously, this is not a great debut to the Solar Surge podcast studio here with the internet blowing in and out with the wind. But no. So very seriously though, my goal is to build Solar Surge into the most dominant, most influential brand in the residential solar plus storage space. I want to have such great value information here that a homeowner doesn't really have to go anywhere else. If you want to go somewhere else, great, but you shouldn't really have to go anywhere else. We should have the information that you need, that you're looking for. And if you can't get it from me, then you should be able to get it from somebody else that's part of our community.
And to follow that up, go ahead.
He's already there. Like, you need to set a higher goal.
Yeah. Check mark. Accomplished.
Well, hey, look, guys. I think
so.
There's always more to learn. There's always more to learn, and I think that's one of the things that's really, really enjoyable about being part of this community is that we can learn from each other, and the technology is changing every year. So there's always more to learn out there.
And then immediately after Brandon gave his answer, my response was, Joe, do you know? So you're homeowners. What do you think a vast majority of the people watching your content are homeowners? Because, for example, I saw, was it the second or the third last video you posted? It was why a majority of solar companies fail or something, right? Do you feel a lot of people in the industry as well are coming in and interacting with your content? Or do you think a vast majority of your audience is homeowners?
Oh yeah, that was Cody Thiel. Shout out Cody Thiel.
Yeah. Cody gave a great podcast interview at SolarCon, and actually, I got to say, Joe, SolarCon was a big eye opener for me. I had no idea what I was missing last year, and when you had invited me this year, I really didn't know what I was walking into. And what I can say coming away from SolarCon, first of all, you guys put on an excellent production, so I just want to shout out to you all, you and the team there. You have put on, what I think is the best solar gathering for people that are in the residential solar industry. There's other bigger conferences out there, but it's not for us, right? If what you want is how to have a successful business in the residential solar space, SolarCon is it. And it was a great value for the audience. But it was also a big eye opener for me that so much of my audience is other solar industry professionals, salespeople, contractors. You know, you don't really know who's on the other side of that camera lens. So in my mind, I'm always kind of thinking, oh, it's a homeowner that wants to learn about how this product works. And that's kind of just the mindset that I'm in. But what I've learned is that there is a very significant segment of the audience that's other solar professionals. And we want to make sure that we have good information for them as well. And that's part of why we started the podcast is, you know, we want to bring on the industry leaders to talk about what's going on in the solar industry and what does it look like to have a successful solar business. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of like good information, that's another question that the Solar Goat answered was like, how do you make sure the stuff you're presenting is legit and that homeowner's not going to get screwed and that solar company is not going to get messed up because you gave them the wrong product, the wrong information? Is there like a structure you do, or you just make sure you do the details, find out for yourself?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think Brandon was talking about that when I logged back in finally, which is that like it's great to have influence and all that, but you don't want to be selling your influence to the highest bidder, right? I mean, you want to be using your influence to guide people the best way you know possible. And you know, so for me, it's not like I endorse products based on sponsorships. What I try to do is give product advice and product reviews based on my own experience. And so people may wonder, you know, why do I have a preference towards a certain brand or against a certain brand? It's not because I'm being paid by them or their competitor. It's more has to do with, you know, I've been in the position that Brandon's been in sometime, having to replace a busted system and having to explain to the homeowner that, you know, the system's going to be down for some period of time and here's why. And I'm sorry, Mr. Homeowner, but, you know, we're just gonna have to wait until they mail us a replacement. And, you know, those experiences stick with you. So I've developed my brand preferences and my opinions, but I do try to stay impartial, especially with the new products that I don't really have, you know, any tracks in the sand. I just try to be impartial. I try to, you know, stick to just the facts and try to help the homeowners in particular, or also young salespeople, sort through all the different numbers and terms that are on the spec sheet and try to translate that into English of what that actually means in terms of what I can do with the system as a homeowner or how I need to handle it as an installer.
You know, I've always loved the idea as soon as, you know, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 years in solar, I was always behind the scenes. I hated the idea of being the front facing of a company. Again, I've talked about, I had this natural inclination that anyone's on a camera is, you know, but then I started realizing the power behind it. Then I also started realizing that it's a really, really good way to pick up on someone's work ethic, to pick up on someone's transparency. Sometimes people have good work ethic, but they're not very honest. But very often, truth is often correlated with consistency. So, for example, Joe, you've been posting a lot. And another question I was going to ask is, how the hell do you come up with so many topics? Because you're posting every 3 or 4 days in a niche little industry like solar that's phenomenal. I've always loved the idea of utilizing that influence, that audience, as a form of allowing homeowners to cut through all the marketing, to cut through all the sales guys, cold callers, and door knockers. Although, of course, you know, I've come from that background, and just go to a source that is online, public, that they can follow for months and years, who's just been pumping out content very, very clearly directed at information. And so, okay, when they have that person in front of them, and then they have all these cold callers, door knockers, and ads hitting them, who do you think they're going to pick? They're going to pick the person that they almost like. You know, a lot of people binge watch content. They see your face, they see you very consistently giving the same message. And when it comes to going solar, of course, they're going to go with the guy they've already almost built a digital rapport with. Is that been a goal? Has that been a symptom? Is that becoming more and more common for homeowners to reach out to you? Like, do you see that as a thing, or is your primary thing, let me just add value, let me just educate, and whatever comes?
Well, no. I mean, I think that's exactly the business that's emerged from the YouTube channel. Is that what we found is that people that are researching the topics that we discuss many of them tend to be people that are actively shopping for these systems. In fact, it's not uncommon for somebody to reach out to us and say, hey, I just got somebody knocked on my door, tried to sell me this system. Then I went on YouTube and saw your video reviewing the product, and we just want to get your opinion on all this. And then that's oftentimes how we are invited into the sales conversation is they already have a couple quotes. They didn't buy from one of the providers that they've already met with, and now they want to get our perspective, our take on things. Particularly homeowners that are interested in battery storage. That's probably our secret sauce. If I had to, spill the beans on anything, our secret sauce and the videos that tend to get some of the most views are our head-to-head battery comparison videos, and helping homeowners understand what's the best choice for their situation. But that is also our philosophy. It's like, look, if we can be the source of good information, if we can educate the homeowner or the potential buyer, then when they're ready to buy something, chances are they'll buy from us, or at least they're going to give us a shot to put a proposal forward. And but it's I think it just gets back to that like reciprocity. Like you got to put good stuff out, good value out first, and then eventually there is a flow that comes back to you. And that's how we've built our business. Solar Surge is not just a media operation. We're a solar sales company too. We design systems, we sell systems to homeowners, but we just do it. We just do it in a different way. We lead with the education and the information first. And then, if you want to buy one, we've got one to sell you too. Sure.
I have very often told people, in our community, we talk a lot about, different innovative lead gen methods. And people are always looking for the quickest and dirtiest way. But I've often said, I almost challenge people. I'll say, hey guys, the number one way to do things right now is to go out there, add value at a very consistent basis, throw videos, education stuff out there, build a community around you. And then help those homeowners. And I will always say this to people. If anyone out there wants to give that a crack, I will support you. I'll even help you set up your stuff. I'll help you show you how to run content, film content. But the thing is, the reason why having, putting content out there and being an influencer and a long-term influencer in the space is because it's not easy. Because a vast majority of people aren't actually prepared to add free value on a very, very consistent basis. Everyone wants something immediately, and they don't understand the power behind free value, very free, good value, very, very consistently. One of the biggest things for me is I'll see people do copycats of Solar Academy, of Virtual Solar Club. They'll try to be influencers for a month, maybe two, and all of a sudden they stop posting content, or all of a sudden their community is disengaged. And it's just such
that
a
didn't
massive
work
for me. They just weren't serious about it, and they probably shouldn't be helping homeowners if they're not consistent and they don't have their best interests in mind. Oh, great. Love it.
Well, it's not only that, bro. Like, anybody can want to give value and give content, and a month later it's like, I'm not getting enough value. I'm not getting enough engagement back. I'm gonna quit doing it. So, like, for the Solar Goat, bro, like, I'm sure it's the same thing for him, right? Like, eventually you're doing it, but then all of a sudden you go viral, and that feeling of going viral must be like one of the best feelings ever. And then you get addicted to it, and then you want to do more. Then you get another viral video, and then it just is that part of what it is? Like, each viral video gets you more addicted and want to beat that, for the next one.
I think I genuinely love making videos. I'm a creative person and a little bit artistic, and so I found something that I like doing, and I'm trying to perfect this kind of style or craft that I'm doing. But I think there is a lot to that people get different types of enjoyment out of social media. I think I just enjoy making videos.
Yeah, because your videos, very similar to Joe, right? Like, you're comparing products, you're talking about an install, you're talking about a panel, you're talking about a battery, you're comparing batteries. But your content is more like snappy and pop editing, and you make it really easy and fun to watch, right? And short form video. Is that just editing? It's like you just using your camera and just editing, and you just know how to edit really well because you don't have anybody in your team, right?
Right. It's just me making videos. And I think anybody could take a certain style of video and duplicate it by having somebody edit that knows how to make videos in that style. And Joe can talk about this as well. Like, video editing is extremely technical, time consuming, and
Yes.
is really hard to do. And so, like, some of these videos that I put together, and I think in general, like, we all can speak to this. You may watch someone's video and you have no idea what it actually took to pull off that shot or to pull off,
It's so true.
how to put that together. So
I could
It's
imagine, right? Like it could be like a 10-second or a 5-second shot that took you like 2 hours to get that done the way you
Right.
wanted to.
right.
it's so awesome seeing. I just keep going back to the recent one. When did you do that? That 1.5 million. That was 4 days ago. Oh, is that one of your biggest? Let's see, 1.5 mil.
Oh, on
Bro.
TikTok, yeah. Yeah, TikTok right now is pushing long form content, which, Joe, if you're not, I would jump on this. So they want to get videos and kind of compete more with YouTube by pushing longer videos. And so I tried my
Ooh.
game at pushing some longer videos and instantly millions of views, putting together some off-grid kits and doing some fun stuff with off-grid solar. But yeah, that was a fun one to make. That series, it's about a series of 5 videos.
Well,
The
that
reason it
actually is
makes
my
me
next.
smile-
Go ahead, Josh.
I was gonna say the reason it makes me smile so much is because a decade ago in solar, me and everyone around that was in solar, no one knew about it. No one knew our struggles. No one knew anything. We told people we were in solar, and they'd be like, "What is that? We don't know." And now I'm seeing guys in there with 1.5 million views of you setting up an off-grid system. I'm like, wow. It's like I was born 10 years too early, right, into the industry, and now finally
See, you know what though?
Uh,
There's something to this though, right? So I'm sitting back here. I'm like Solar Surge and the Solar Goat. These guys are going viral. What are they doing different? Why are they so special? And obviously it's the video and your personalities, but I think it's the technical stuff, right? Like not many technicians or people or engineers like know how to speak well and be in front of a camera, but I think both of you guys have like a sales background a little bit. I know Solar Goat had a little door knocking experience. Solar
Yeah.
Surge, did you have any like sales background or communication background? I know you're an engineer, but anything that made you be able to communicate so well?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's really ever since I got started in my career. I went to engineering school, but truth be told, I struggled to make C's in engineering school. I knew from freshman year in EE lab, there were kids that were making robots for fun in their spare time in my engineering class, and I was very much struggling, just to pass. And I realized at that point, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to be the smartest guy here, but I can talk the language of the engineers well enough that I can translate it to the users and the buyers of how this stuff actually works and what it does.
I love that.
And so I've always kind of been in this position of like translator. I can talk the language of the engineers, but I was never the one like in the lab, like building the inverter or building the widget, whatever the widget was. But I could communicate well at a customer level about it. And so I've always been, whether I was in the software industry, defense, or solar, I've always kind of been in that sort of, technical communicator type of role. And I guess that's the approach I take. Is like, hey, let me take this spec sheet and break it down and translate this into what you actually need to know as a potential owner, what it can and can't do for you. And I guess that's why there's value in it. Is maybe most of these engineers don't communicate that way. I just try to keep it simple. If I had to explain, to a novice person, to a non-technical person, what does this thing do? How's it going to benefit you? That's kind of the approach.
See, I know I was onto something there. How about you, Brandon? I know you were door knocking and you were in a little bit of sales before you got on the roof, right?
Yeah, I quit my job. So I was miserable. I was working as an accountant. I was just like entering invoices for a construction company. Hated my job. And then one of my friends was like, dude, there's this company out there and they're installing solar panels and you buy power from the solar panels instead of paying your electric bill. He's like, you want to go interview there? And I was like, absolutely. I quit my job, walked out of it, drove all the way to Arizona and interviewed for a job knocking doors. And that's where I fell in love with solar, was something spontaneous where I'm like, this sounds cool. It sounds like a great opportunity. And I did sales for a long time, doing whether door to door or other consulting, commercial and residential. But yeah, that's definitely where I found the solar industry, was from that side of the market.
That's so interesting. It's so, for example, Brian, if you went into a home and you pitched a customer solar, but then the next guy came in and he's just super slick, right? Suit and tie, knows how to talk. In that environment, I think the slick guy's going to win. But online, if you're throwing in your stuff consistently and just super educational, there's no way that sales guy is going to do anything close to that, because he doesn't actually care about the customer. So in the modern age, you're the winner, right? It's like, it's almost exposing who actually wants to provide value with the consistency, with the content. It's such an interesting space.
Oh, that is interesting, because like I might not be able to build the rapport in 15 seconds, but I have years of thousands and thousands of hours of content that stands behind me, along with other people, that builds a reputation for my brand. That's really interesting, and that's presented with me now.
Yeah. And they go online, they binge watch, a few videos, and within, 10, 15, 20 minutes of binge watching, you will have built more rapport and authority and value with them than the sleazeball that goes in and just knows how to talk for an hour or two. Right. It's such an interesting place. I think it's because when they're on lying in bed, flipping through TikTok, they're not putting their defenses up. So your value just goes straight through to them. Whereas if you're in home, it's like, oh, this guy's trying to sell me. I have to defend. And so you have to get around those walls using sneaky sales tactics, which is necessary sometimes just to help people out. But this method of just getting content out there, educational content out there, whether people are in the industry or whether it's homeowners, it's like you're not selling them. You're purely adding value. So it goes behind their defenses, and then boom, immediate rapport, immediate professionalism, immediately adding value to them. It's so cool.
What I heard was Josh say that anybody who knows how to talk well is a sleazeball. That's what I heard.
I've certainly been a sleazeball in my past, but it is. I'm just saying that the idea of platform and the idea of content creation, like sleazeballs they're not going to do it. They can't add value. They don't want to add value. All they want to do is get the sale and go home. Whereas people that actually care and just like making content, just like speaking about it, it's just so obvious, right? That they're there and they know what they're doing. And like I mentioned before, like if I saw a Solar Goat video and I had an issue with my batteries, if I had an issue with my system, and he walked up my front door after binge watching 15, 20 minutes, anything you would say, I would be like, okay, what do I need? Okay, sure, I'll buy that. Okay, what else do I need? Because it's just like, there's all content. You can see he's a pro. He's been doing this for a long time, right? There's no salesmanship here. This is what's going on. So it's such an interesting video.
That is interesting. Maybe you're figuring out the secret for anybody watching this, as far as helping in the industry, is the value you have with, being genuine and posting good content could transfer offline. And it does transfer offline, but that's one way that it does, is you have this, reputation where you can be in two places at once. You can be at your home chilling, having the dinner, but you can also be on 100 people's phone, building rapport for yourself.
Or 1.5 million.
And the magical thing behind that is the guys that aren't serious are not going to take it seriously and not do it consistently. Right? Only going to be people that actually care, just pumping content out for months and years at a time.
Well, hope you guys don't mind. We keep talking about the platforms and content. I know you guys are, have amazing minds in the solar industry. We could talk another hour about that. But I just have a question about the platforms, because Solar Goat is doing amazing on TikTok and probably other platforms, and Solar Surge is doing amazing on YouTube. Can you guys talk about why, like, the other platforms that you're not using? I know that Brandon, you're on Instagram, you getting on that now, and you're on a little bit on Facebook and YouTube. So besides TikTok, can you talk about the other platforms? How much you're using it? Are you trying to be different on it? Are you using the same content? Just talk a little bit about the other platforms.
Yeah, one thing that I like is the community on different platforms. And I think this is a whole nother discussion that would be really interesting because if I post a video and I put it on all the platforms and just look at the comments I get, the messages I get from the different platforms, I fell in love with TikTok because I found a lot of people in the industry that I communicate with on a regular basis, check in, how's your day, what projects are you working on? And I've really built that community. And on other platforms, I didn't see that as much. There wasn't a direct messaging feature in, say, YouTube. It might be a little bit harder to directly engage with somebody in like a private messages, whereas Instagram has that, and then Facebook's a whole other thing. But there's a lot of pros and cons, and it seems like they're going up and down and introducing a bunch of different things. But I think what matters most is just finding the one you enjoy being on and enjoy the community on.
So you're focused on TikTok, but you're dabbling in the other ones just to keep up with it and see what they're doing and make sure you don't miss anything?
It's transferred a little bit over to Instagram too, because at the end of the day, if I were to look into the future, I would say Instagram, for political reasons, is going to be one that survives a long time and grows into something big.
I've been hearing YouTube Shorts is big because it has the TikTok kind of algorithm, but then they have the Google search, which is probably a big help. YouTube Shorts probably makes sense too, right?
Yeah, I like the idea of YouTube Shorts. The only thing is it's an afterthought by YouTube to try to compete and not lose their viewership to other platform. And so you don't have that genuine quality with a lot of people from YouTube like participating, working for that platform. So I think it's a little bit more forced and less natural, but I definitely wouldn't overlook it.
And for you, Joe, I see a lot on YouTube, but I see you dabbling on LinkedIn and playing around on Facebook. But same question for you: are you using other platforms besides YouTube? And what are you doing different? What do you see out there?
Yeah, Joe, great question. So, right around the time, like Josh mentioned, right around the turn of the year, we decided to really double down on social media and actually bring in some professional help and some things. And so at that time, we also decided that we were going to start a long form podcast style of content creation, and then also short form with shorts and reels, and just kind of be everywhere. The thought was, let's just be everywhere. Let's Solar Surge be everywhere. And we would just take the long form YouTubes and podcasts and cut them up into short reels. What I've learned is that there really is an art and a science to being successful on TikTok. And I'm going to have to go to Solar Goat University, before I really
yes, you baby
into TikTok world, because there's a formula there. It's not just as simple as take your podcast, cut out a 60-second clip that you think is cool, and then put it on TikTok. It's a lot more than that. And Solar Goat obviously has cracked the code to some extent. So, I mean, much respect for that. But I think our bread and butter is YouTube, and it's short, 10 to 15 minute topic specific, SEO relevant, search engine optimization relevant videos that we put out on YouTube for people that are looking for that information. That is our bread and butter. Pretty much all the other stuff is just experimental. I know you probably see us everywhere. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, like we're putting those videos everywhere, but the real engagement, the real business is being done on YouTube. The second most, I guess, critical platform for us would be LinkedIn. But for us, LinkedIn is more of a networking thing to connect with other industry people, like, for example, people that we may want to have on as a guest for the podcast. Whereas YouTube is still the main platform around which we build our business, which, of course, the business is getting solar to homeowners. And what we're finding is those homeowners we connect with them on YouTube long form content, and then we can go from
there. But like honestly though, you can really take the same exact video you make for that platform, whatever it is, and literally put on every single one, all of the other ones, and you will get more viewers and it won't take much work. So why don't you just take the same exact video and put it on all the platforms and see what happens? And have you done that?
I don't think it's that easy though, and I think Joe hit it on the head. Like for example, TikTok. If you look at Goat's TikToks, they're and I was going to ask you, do you edit within the TikTok platform?
So that's a whole wormhole as far as what actually helps with the algorithm, because it is actually recommended to edit short form content within the app. And so there's tricks to that as far as making slight adjustments and edits after your edits. But I primarily edit on my computer, just because the editing style that I do is so time consuming to chop down, especially when I'm wearing a camera and I'm making a 5-second clip out of an hour of footage. But
it's specifically made for TikTok. Like when I see your videos, obviously you have framed it, you have shot it specifically for TikTok trends, for TikTok, what people are engaging with at that time, everything. So like,
right,
for example, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Joe, for example, with our content, right? So we do that, we clip, we put it on TikTok, but it doesn't transfer over because it's like very clearly not made for TikTok. Whereas if you look at Goat's videos, it would almost be a bit awkward if it was on YouTube. It's like that is TikTok through and through. So it's obvious why he's getting 1.5 mil.
I don't know about that. I think these days, like he could take the same TikTok video and put it on Instagram and it'll be seamless. And I don't think anybody on Instagram be like, hey, that's a TikTok video. Like, you know what I mean? Like YouTube Shorts, same thing, right?
There's something to that, because when I do now post on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for all of my videos, they all go on that. But I've basically gone all in on like 9:16, like portrait short format videos. And each one of those different platforms gets a slight edit to the video that ends up being published. Some it might be 1 minute and 1 second. Some it might be 59 seconds. There's some alterations that are better for different platforms. And so I've recently gone all in with Instagram and have been really enjoying that platform and have been growing exponentially. But there are like little variation and tweaks you make when you post on different platforms.
I think that's it. It's the secret sauce. It's understanding the meta of the platform, opposed to just getting content on there.
You actually have to be on the platform too. You can't just be like on YouTube all the time and then be like, all right, let me try TikTok now. Like you have to actually use it, watch it, see what works. That's a big part of what you guys do too, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Right. Yeah, because there's a culture. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Goat.
Go ahead.
Understanding the meta, right? It's like, what are the trends? What are TikTok users enjoying? What are Instagram users enjoying?
Is that a question, Josh? Because you confused everybody right now.
No, I thought they both had something to say. So I want to throw my piece.
No, I'll run with that. It's like people are generally partial to an app. They're going to open their phone and they're going to pick one. They're not going to pick three. And there is like trends and culture and etiquette and style that goes specific to these apps in general. And so if you're not invested in it, it's obvious to the people who are loyal to that app to say, oh, that's a video that was cropped and it's like cut off and all close to their face, and the editing style is not consistent, and the song was so last week, and all that stuff. Like there's a lot to it. And so I think people can kind of sniff out if you're trying to double dip a little bit, where you're like, oh, I could get more views if I just kind of throw this on everything. So it helps to be like invested and care about the platform and be genuine to like the content, and that viewers are going to appreciate it in the same format they're used to listening to.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would say there's a lot to it. And for me personally, I spend most of my time consuming content on YouTube. So I do probably pick up on a lot of the style and the trends and the etiquette, like Goat mentioned, that there is like an etiquette. There's a certain like expected behavior. There's a certain expectation that the audience has of the content. And so I do think that you do need to know the platform that you're posting for. And a lot of times, yes, you can take the same topic or a lot of the same footage, but how you present the footage, how you edit it, a lot of times does need to be tweaked for the platform. I mean, we even see that going from YouTube to LinkedIn. LinkedIn won't let you post more than 15 minutes, right? So I can't take a YouTube long podcast and put it on LinkedIn. Nor do people really want to see that on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn they're swiping, whereas YouTube they're searching to watch one video at a time. And so what we find, for example, in LinkedIn is we'll take 3 minutes or so of the most engaging portion of our podcast, and we'll put that on LinkedIn. We'll post that as a native LinkedIn video with then a link in the description if they want to watch the full length podcast. Go back to YouTube or go to Spotify if you want to get the audio. So,
you guys feel like all the platforms are copying each other? Like, I feel like that's working. Let's jump on this thing. That like soon they're all going to be the same thing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of money in social media as we're seeing our world transfer into a digital space, and everyone is competing to have the most content and viewers on their platform. And so, yeah, I think if somebody has a good idea, they got to either integrate and join in or get left behind and become like a MySpace or something.
It's going to happen to somebody, right?
Change things up a bit. I'm interested in either of you, whether you guys are maybe currently working on or thinking about or have been approached to actually build solar specific products. Because one thing we see in the influencer space is that, there's so many influencers that try to build a product, sell, but then there's a very small section of them that actually in their industry see a problem and fix it, right? I can maybe probably think of like 5 on in their respective industries that cared so much about it. They eventually got funding or someone approached them, and then they actually came up with something that was cool specifically for their audience. Have you guys thought about doing something like that? And I don't know what that could be. I'm not saying create a module, but something solar specific that because you have a name in the industry and people trust you, that you could use your platform to launch and actually make an impact on the industry hardware or something, or the software specific.
That's an interesting question. I'm going to say yes to it, and then I'm going to speak for Joe and say that I think Solar Surge is that. Like he saw an issue with the acquisitions, misinformed customers or whatever it is, and he created the solution with his product. So I think he 100% has that, but I'm working on some stuff as well. That's going to be pretty cool.
Well, like for example, Good, I imagine you said you keep starting to see all the same issues, right? As they pop up, as the first generational solar home, you're starting to see the patterns. So surely you've got a little notepad there and you're thinking, man, what if someone just came up with this like tiny little thing, right? It's like, it's not, it's not important enough for the Elon Musk to care about, but it's this one thing that you could do well, right? Because you're just on the front line, and then you could utilize that platform, just get it out there. It's that little widget. And then all of a sudden, because you have so many industry people following you, you throw this out there and say, guys, look, I've been working on this for a while. Here it is, whatever it looks like. There's the widget. And all of a sudden, all the installers, guys in the industry, be like, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. And you save it, you sell it, and it just becomes a staple as a cool little thing that you do and add on to the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one thing that I'm working on is that I came from a construction background and framing, a few other different trades. And I always had like industry specific tools for, if I was a framer, I had tool bags that were made for framers that were the exact size as nails. And I went into the solar industry and I saw a bunch of guys running around on the roof and nobody had tool bags on. And I'm like, what? Like, from my background, you got fired if you weren't wearing tool bags. And so I met with a company and we put together a design for specific tool bags that are made for solar panel installers. People who are on the roof, they're harnessed in, they're specifically designed to hold the exact tools that solar installers use. And so that's something that I've been wearing and using and developing that launches soon. But it's been cool to kind of go through that process and make something for myself that might branch out a little bit bigger.
And you're making content about that? Are you showing people it and showing the use cases and everything?
A little sneak peeks. So it comes out this next month. So I'm excited. It's been like a year in the making. So.
Well, there you go. That's exactly what I was talking about. Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. That's cool, man. I like it. Yeah. What about yourself, Joe? Do you see yourself jumping into any? Obviously, as Brandon said, you have a solution already, but are you seeing any tiny things, hardware or software things that you think you can solve and use your platform?
You better not say tool belt either, okay, Joe?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think
competition.
I think it's an excellent question, Josh. Thanks for that. And it's something that I think about often is what makes sense here, given the audience and the influence and the area of expertise that we have. Are there other products or services or other value add that we can provide? For us, our thinking at the moment is more around, I think, non-tangible digital type products, education type products, things like that. Should we do something like that under the Solar Surge brand? We haven't given much serious thought to selling or licensing the brand to any tangible product. I could think of a few that might benefit from the brand, like little solar chargers or solar generator, things like that. But that's not really what we do. And once you open yourself up to that, there's a whole other side of it besides just selling the product, right? You got to think about the warehousing, the distribution, the support, and that's not really what we want to get into right now. So I think if we were to do anything else besides just selling solar to homeowners, which is our bread and butter, it would probably be something in the digital product space, I would imagine.
Well, like an app or something like that.
Oh, you stole my idea, Brandon.
Yeah. I can see the Solar Surge app.
Exactly, right?
Take over the industry.
An all-in-one
what's better?
App.
Yeah, you could just compare it like Enphase versus Generac, and they'll be like, oh, Enphase will only put out 40 amps, but Generac puts out 50. Like that, have everything on there.
Well, I was more so thinking like a home monitoring app, a home usage or usage app, and get the Solar Surge name behind it. A ton of stuff. Get usage habits behind it. Get usage schedules. Especially, it's going to be really important when net metering gets killed, and then people are going to need usage schedules to maximize the optimization of their system for their self-consumption. Like, there's so many different homeowner software solutions out there. You come up with this is all in one. After you get installed, download this, right? And there could be a million different monetization strategies behind this, but it has all their stuff, their monitoring, their usage schedules, their device usage. Those devices where you can hook up as well and see if there's any really inefficient devices and swap it out because it had a bad fuse or whatever, and it's using a ton of power. So much opportunity, right?
Joe was looking at you like, Josh, I already figured this out years ago, bro.
Dude, I love the idea of having like too many irons in the fire or whatever, overextending yourself. So I'm all in. I think Joe should create everything.
He looks so serious about it. Look at him.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the magic, if you will, of the social media and the influencer space is that, if you know your stuff and you are providing value consistently, like Josh said, you have the potential to get your opinion, your valued opinion, in front of millions of people worldwide. I mean, I don't have any like millions of views, but I've got, a handful of videos that have gotten hundreds of thousands of views from people all over the world.
I've seen it.
And so if I have some solution that I can offer to those people that's going to provide value and could be done profitably, then by all means, that's something that we would consider. Goat, I'm curious, what other things besides, physical products have you considered any kind of a digital or information based product, perhaps to introduce under the Solar Goat canopy, if you will?
Yeah, I'm interested in that on the repair and maintenance side, is because one of the biggest issues I see the solar industry moving forward is keeping people's solar panel systems working for as long as possible. So there's some products that I'm trying to figure out, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, and maybe teaming up with some people that really know that side of the industry. I think there could be some benefit for the end user having their system and being able to maintain it, some kind of digital product there.
Yeah. Well, you've got a ton of education content creators on this call, so you should definitely do it. You are the type of people that should have these courses out there. I want to stop seeing old Bob trying to sell me some random course for BS. I want to see the GOAT tell me exactly how to maintain the system. That's it.
I like it.
Cool, man.
Hey, I know we're way over an hour, but I had a little segment I literally made up on the spot. Josh, you down to try it out?
Sure. You lead it, man. I don't know what you're doing.
I'm going for it because at the end of the day, I think these guys are really well known for product reviews. These guys tested every product under the sun,
Ooh.
pun intended. And I have a list of 10 products, and I want you guys rapid fire, just quickly. Doesn't have to be a long thing, but tell me what product which you initially think of, could be the name brand, and why. Really quick. Just don't think too much on it. I'm gonna go down each product. You guys ready?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right. This is called product review rapid fire.
Send it.
All right, here we go. So right off the top of the head, when I say this word, you tell me which is your favorite brand and why. Smart battery.
Ooh.
Franklin.
I know this is putting you on the spot, but it doesn't have to be the perfect answer. So we'll go.
Sonnen.
Oh, okay.
I would say Franklin.
Joe. Oh, see, I like it. Any quick reasons why? You don't have to give a whole spiel, but just quickly.
I think Sonnen basically came up with the idea of virtual power plants where they could take batteries and have them communicate as like a network in order to backfeed the grid, in order to assist it with power production in areas that need power. And I have absolutely loved that idea for the long-term implementation of grid-tied solar. And Sonnen was on to something. They've had that idea under their belt for a long time.
Love that. How about you, Joe?
I would say just because it's the most simple way to achieve a whole house backup with just enough smarts to make it happen without a fail. You don't have to be an engineer to use it. You don't have to get into the type of stuff talking about import, export, and being your own power plant, but it's got enough smarts to allow you to do a whole house backup without the whole thing crashing down on you.
Perfect. I'm going to keep going down. I don't want to take too much time here. Next one is inverter. It could be the same thing. I'm not sure. But what inverter is your favorite?
Ooh, I like SolarEdge. I know they use Class B capacitors and they fail all the time, start on fire, yada, yada. I think SolarEdge is awesome.
All right, Joe.
Those are not reasons that
I would have to go. Yeah, I would have to go with Enphase. I would have to go with Enphase. No offense, I really like the guys at SolarEdge, but I've been outside of the homeowner's house one too many times replacing a SolarEdge inverter. So for me, it's Enphase.
Everybody's got their reasons.
Yeah,
and the next one,
I can't argue. I replaced 2 SolarEdge inverters this morning. So
that's why you like it. Keeps your job.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's what it is.
I see.
Just joking, SolarEdge. All right, so this one's going to be really hard right here. So this one's going to be super hard. All right, your favorite solar panel?
Dude, I think the R series rear contact from LG was the coolest thing that was ever made until LG decided to kill their panel brand. So I really do like LG's products, so I'm going to stick with that even though they're dead. Second best would be REC.
I don't know if you've seen the latest news in LG. If you have, you might retract your statement. But I'm just joking. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I would go with REC also. I think REC's got the best thing going right now. I was a big fan of LG 2 years ago, the Neon R's, but they decided to get out of it. Now, if they're getting back into the game, that's noteworthy. But as of today, I'm going with the REC Alpha Pure R or the Pure Black.
Oh, I'm on the same page with you, Joe.
What about the panels behind you, Goat?
and third?
Those are LG 305N1K G4s.
Oh, it's from like 5 years ago then.
Yeah, this is an older installation, but LG, they made, rest in peace, clean products.
Josh, you saying something?
Second and third as well, while we're on modules.
Yeah.
Second and third. I've done production testing with Solaria, however you want to say it, and done some very deep detailed to the data on the power they produce, and they're the real deal. I was a little bit worried about failed solder points and some other things, but Solaria is cool.
We now offer Solaria as our base panel, all of our dealers.
Really, yeah, it's cool. It looks good, and it's the real deal. Quadrants, the technology behind it, shingling, all that.
I've known about Solaria for years. I don't know about you guys.
They just merged with Complete Solar, which is our primary EPC partner in California. Now there's standard base Solaria 390s, I believe. Pretty cool.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna throw SunPower in there right after. I hate the guys. I hate being proprietary. I like open source. I like
He doesn't
products that
hate the
work
people
together.
at SunPower. Just make sure that's clear.
But yeah, right. But I service installs, and I have to say their products do hold up pretty well. So
Good to know. That's why you're here. Get the inside scoop.
What do you
Did
think?
we got
Joe?
both of them then?
For me, I would say if we had to do a top three, I would say Qcells and Aptos are probably the other two. I like Solaria. Solarias, I think, are the best looking solar panels. Period. Best looking solar panels in the industry. In our installer network, we just don't have them. None of my installers, in any of the markets that we offer them. So it's not a product I've had much work with in the last couple of years. But when I used to install them, they were the best looking panels I've ever seen, and I can say that honestly.
Well,
Solaria is the best looking panel. But if I'm,
well, after this podcast, they're going to be all jumping on the board now.
I don't know if they signed an exclusivity agreement with Complete, but they
No. How could they be exclusive to one company? There's no way.
No, they merged, so they're an EPC now.
I know, but they're not going to be exclusive to just Complete. That would be like terrible for their bottom line. I'm going crazy.
Utilize they would make everyone move over to their dealer network from the sales guys or something. I know, yeah, interesting moves though.
Maybe.
No, I think you're right. Like they get first dibs on the panels because there's custom, they're short supply, they're not a large manufacturer.
That's true.
I think you might be able to trickle in a few, but it's just tough because if you're an installer, you want your guys to know about the panel. That's the best that they can get, that they can use. And so it's like one-off jobs using this really good panel that we can't get. It just doesn't work.
Well, that base panel across California for us now. So if anyone wants Solaria, join the crew.
Yeah,
There you go.
I love
Little
it.
shout out for Josh.
So Aptos and Qcell. You probably heard of the news, the moves that Hanwha Qcell are making, Joe, with Chariot Energy and now Enfin jumping into financing. Have you heard about that?
Actually, no, I'm going to have to do my homework on that, and most likely we'll cover it. But, Qcells is just a solid brand that I've sold for years. It's the brand that I put on my home when we did the system back in 2018. So it's a brand I'm very familiar with. Aptos, we're seeing a lot in Florida, particularly coastal Florida. We do a lot of projects in Florida here at Solar Surge. And so there, the wind rating is a big issue because of the hurricane threat. So I understand most of the country is not going to look at wind rating as closely as we have to in Florida. But I think because of that, Aptos has really kind of risen to the top. It's just a heavier, tougher panel. And physically larger.
I would take a look at what...
It's heavy, yeah.
I would take a look at what Qcell's doing. They're making some really cool moves. I met the C-suite of Hanwha back in the day in Australia. Introduced to them at one point. But Qcell has purchased Chariot Energy, which is a deregulated utility in Texas. So now they're in the utility space. And they're very, very solar friendly. And then they've also just created a company called Enfin. I don't know if it was an acquisition or not, but Enfin, because Qcell has the 30-year production warranty on their panel, or the manufacturer's warranty on the panel, Enfin, which is now their sister finance company, they're launching now with a 30-year finance product, very closely linked or directly linked to the 30-year warranty on the module. So I think this is how, going to be a solution for all this financing. Because all of our financing partners right now are singular revenue stream financing partners. So if the economy goes crazy, they have to jack up their dealer fees and get rid of their longer term loans. Whereas when you have a company that has multiple streams of revenue in one industry, now utility, module, and financing, they can do so many cool things because they're not limited to one revenue stream. So exciting times for
Hell
QCell
yeah.
for sure. They've made some big moves recently.
Very cool.
I like that.
All right, to keep on going down the list here. Speaking of, I know you're talking about backup before. Do you guys have a favorite generator?
Kohler.
I don't.
It's maybe not. I know Joe was talking about Florida.
Yeah, no,
so
for
there has
me,
to be some
for me,
generator talk over there.
It's the Kohler. I know it's not the most popular brand, but for true off-grid, for true emergency prepper type folks, the Kohler generator is designed to endure the high running hours that a true off-grid or a true long-term grid down situation is going to need. So for me, the Kohler 12, the Kohler 16, 2-wire start hooked up to a reliable inverter.
Getting all the information here. Thanks, Joe. All right, we'll go back to the solar system. Now, the third part of it, the racking system. Do you guys say whatever racking system it is, who cares? Or is there a favorite like you like to use for any specific reason?
K2 or die.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. I really like K2. So I remove solar panels, and so I'll find installs, rip them off the roof, and I have to take apart the hardware so I know which threads get crossed, which lag screws shear off, and I hate putting together reinstalling systems of certain brands because everything's just garbage after it's taken off. And K2 is one of my favorites because I can take it off a roof and it's high quality, engineered correctly, strong enough to be reinstalled like it was the day it was installed. So I really like their products. There's a few other manufacturers I love, and there's a race with new integrated products that are awesome right now. But I like K2.
I would agree with you guys. I like
Do you have a favorite, Joe?
Everest K2. I've been installing that ever since the beginning. Super reliable, as the GOAT said, and also very price competitive too. Very, very price competitive.
All right. See, I'm learning something already here. And how about your favorite electric vehicle? Is there, you guys are into EV? I know the GOAT, you said that you were into that industry a little bit. Joe, I'm not sure how much. I'm sure you're into the EVs. Do you have a favorite EV? Is there anything specific people should watch out for?
I like the Lightning. I did a home integration kit installation recently, and I love that they're kind of paving the way for vehicle to home or vehicle to grid. And so that, yeah, so Lightning, I think it's cool. I thought the install was pretty slick, and it was the first time I was able to kind of facilitate vehicle to home, which just blew my mind that is possible. So I love new tech, so I'm gonna go with that right now.
Nice.
Have you taken a look at the numbers and seen like their claim that it can power a certain size home for a certain period of time?
Yeah, I feel like everybody's those numbers are a little bit rough, but the backup's pretty decent. I think it's comparable. Joe might know more on the numbers as far as compared to other things, but I think it has pretty decent backup.
No. I mean, I think the numbers are there if you look at the capacity on the Ford batteries. So by the way, I'm also a Ford fan. Now I'm waiting for the electric Expedition. I've got 5 kids and a wife, so it's we need the full
not the Tesla Cybertruck.
The full.
You don't want the Tesla Cybertruck?
Cybertruck's not gonna work for my family, but I'm pretty sure Ford's going to be coming with the electric Expedition on the skateboard here soon. But I mean, you look at the numbers on those batteries. I mean, these batteries are 100 to 130 kilowatt hours of storage. You compare that to a home battery. That means you need like 7 to 10 Tesla Powerwalls for one of these vehicle batteries, for these full size Ford batteries. So yeah, I mean, those numbers actually seem perfectly reasonable to me. A battery that size should run an average home, an average U.S. home for about three days. And that's with no sunlight coming in. So if you have sunlight coming in and recharge, you could run indefinitely, right? In theory. So that's super exciting. That's probably one of the biggest things that we're looking forward to, it finally becoming ready for prime time, is this vehicle to home backup. or being able to tap into your electric vehicle battery as an auxiliary power source for the home. Super cool stuff.
Very cool.
Damn. Everybody should be getting one of these then.
Yeah.
Lightning's for everybody.
Everybody, you get one. You get one. All right. So this next category is one that everybody's on the same page on. So I want to get you guys' opinion. Efficiency items, things that Solar Pros are going to sell to help the home be more efficient, either with their AC or with their thermostat. Or do you guys have your favorites? Any brands? Anything you like to suggest or use?
The new
I
solar
like
surge.
There you go.
I like the idea of HVAC. That's cool. I think in my area, about 40-45% of the average home's consumption comes from heating and cooling the house. And so any cool, like all these mini splits and DC inputs on them and stuff just seems so cool to me. I haven't had a chance to play around with that so much, but I think that's the first place I would go.
Yeah, I would.
Have
agree with
you
Joe.
used like EcoStella? Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
So you have you used EcoStella for that energy efficiency for like an AC or a top product like that?
Mm-mm.
All right, we have to get you to try it out. I want to know your opinion on it. All right, Joe, go ahead.
You know, I would say also, you know, energy efficient HVAC, mini splits are great. You know, just variable speed central units are great too. I think not having a variable speed unit for a new build home doesn't make any sense to me anymore. But also smart electrical panels. I think SPAN has an excellent solution. I think there's also going to be competitors of SPAN that pop up that allow homeowners to see exactly where energy is flowing down to the per appliance, per circuit level, and then, you know, programmatically control those things. You know, shut the air conditioner off during these hours, shut the clothes dryer off during these hours. You know, just some simple things that you can do with software and a smart panel to help you stop wasting energy, you know, where you don't need to be wasting energy. So I think that's something that's going to become more and more popular.
That's cool.
All right, last one. Or go ahead, Josh.
We spoke with SolarEdge and Enphase, and they very strongly dove into that and how that's going to be the future, where, you know, optimization, the biggest optimization jumps are going to come from software, and optimizing consumption and usage, especially being able to match up pre-cooling, preheating homes based off of peak hour rates and whatnot. And that's only going to be possible if the data stream is there per device, per module, right? And being able to control that through software. So that's very interesting. It was going to come from that.
It's happening. All right. Next one is, this one not really has anything to solar, but what the solar goes on top of. What's your favorite roof?
Metal.
What?
I like this. I think a nice standing seam metal roof. They're hard to install on, especially if they're steep. They're a death trap in the winter.
Oh shit.
In Utah, but I really like metal. I think it looks good. It lasts a long time, and then you install a solar panel system correctly on a nice metal roof. Like, that's just a good product.
See, man, think about that.
Not the easy install, though, is it? That's for the solar.
No.
No. Metal roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with the GOAT. I mean, there's nothing that beats a standing seam metal roof. If you can swing it, they look beautiful. They last forever. And yeah, they're more difficult to install on, but at least you don't have to worry about missing rafters. You know, everything is right there. Everything is right there in front of you. So, and I think homeowners like the idea too. Like, hey, we can put the solar on. We don't actually have to put any holes through the roof membrane. You know, and a lot of homeowners, especially the homeowners that invest in putting a standing seam roof on their home, like that idea that there's really no holes going through anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you say that, you're closed. All right, what do I sign? All right. Last one here. Your favorite tool belt. Solar GOAT.
Yeah, I made a tool belt. It's toolbelts.com, and it's diamond back. And if you scroll down to the sustainability, I have a little page on there with the one I guess, invented with Diamondback tools. So
we have to get that link, Josh, and put it in the post, okay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of that, go ahead, Josh.
is your tool belt launched yet, or you said it's coming up soon, right?
So yeah, I have a page with some products on it, but the official system is coming in the next few days. So,
Ooh. Yeah, we gotta get that link.
Don't worry, Josh doesn't edit that fast anyway.
Okay, go now.
So, you guys, this has been amazing. I really appreciate you guys getting on here. We could talk for hours and hours more. I know you guys are both busy making time for us. I know Solar Surge had a busy calendar and he still squeezed us in. Solar Goat's literally on a roof right now.
My butt's kind of sore.
He's done. So quickly, guys, or not quickly, everybody who wants to reach out to you, get in touch with you, work with you, collaborate with you, whatever. What's the best way, Solar Goat, besides get you a cup of coffee on TikTok or YouTube? How should they reach out to you?
I like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and I really try to engage with my followers. So if you want to work with me or talk to me, please message me. I'll try my best to respond. But I'd love to meet you, know what you do in the industry, learn something from you, and connect.
And Joe, you too, man.
Yeah, and for us, it's Solar Surge on YouTube is the best place to find us. You can also connect with Solar Surge on LinkedIn or connect with me on LinkedIn. But we're still a relatively small operation here. We respond to comments, we respond to LinkedIn requests and that sort of thing. So reach out to us, especially if you're in the industry and you're interested in making video content about solar. We're looking to collaborate with other folks that are interested in getting into the content creation activity. So please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you.
I'm trying to get these guys to do a training for the Solar Academy. So I'm going to do a little nudge right now. Get you guys scheduled on. You guys down?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. We got the thumbs up. So we're going to watch out for them, the Solar Academy. Josh, anybody wants to join the Virtual Solar Club, what should they do? And talk about the Solar Villa, bro. Dominican Republic. We're going to do a training. Go ahead, talk about it, bro.
Oh, Solar Villa coming up. Everyone knows at Virtual Solar Club on all platforms. SolarVilla.com. Awesome remote solar sales retreat boot camp. Going to have all the big trainers. It'll be cool maybe to get one of these guys out there as well. Happening in the Dominican Republic this October. Largest beachside villa in the whole country. The very, very structured training environment, but also living in an amazing tropical environment. So that's coming up this October, SolarVilla.com.
Check out Josh on the Virtual Solar Club, and then check out the Solar Goat on TikTok. You can't miss him. Check out Solar Surge on YouTube. He has so much value, so much fire. Guys, again, you guys are the bomb. This was one of my favorite podcasts. I want to do it again. Appreciate you guys so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for having us, guys.
Have a good one.
Thanks so much for having us, guys.
The Goat, Surge.
Peace.
Peace.